My wife was cheating and said you're broke anyway while ignoring the prenup. Then I faked a lottery win, trapped her legally and forced monthly payments. Background. So, a little about me before I dive into this show. I, 32 male, was always the good guy growing up. Worked hard in school, stayed out of trouble, got decent grades, not a Chad by any means. 5'10", decent looking, but definitely not turning heads. Grew up in a middle-class family in the Midwest. Parents, both teachers, who busted their asses to give me and my sister a good life. Lost my mom to breast cancer my senior year of college, which freaked me up for a while. I am a software developer. Yeah, I know. Worked my way up from making $45,000 at a shitty startup to landing a sweet gig at a travel tech company, making $115,000 by age 27. Not Jeff Bezos money, but I was comfortable. Had a decent 401k started, and even bought a small condo in a decent part of Los Angeles. I had a few serious girlfriends before. Nothing crazy, just normal relationships that did not work out for normal reasons. I was never the type to attract gold diggers. I drove a 2011 Subaru, wore mostly Costco clothes, and my idea of splurging was getting guacamole at Chipotle. My condo was not fancy. 1 bedroom in a decent building, furnished with a mix of IKEA and hand-me-downs from my dad after he downsized. So, how did I end up married to Satan in a designer dress? Buckle up, boys, this is going to be a long one. It was August 2019, and my buddy Chris dragged me to this trendy rooftop bar downtown to celebrate his promotion. Not my scene at all. $18 cocktails, Instagram models everywhere, and music so loud you had to scream to order a drink. I was about to bail when this woman bumped into me, spilling her martini on my shirt. "Oh my God, I am so sorry," she gasped, dabbing at my now soaked chest with a cocktail napkin. "Let me buy you a drink to make up for it." That is how I met Sarah, 26, yoga instructor, aspiring influencer, and way out of my league. Like seriously, this woman looked like she walked off a magazine cover. Perfect blonde hair, green eyes, body that clearly came from hours at the gym, and one of those smiles that makes you forget your own name. When I asked why she was talking to me instead of the finance bros sending bottles to every hot girl in the place, she rolled her eyes. "Those guys are such douchebags. I need someone real, someone authentic." 2 drinks in, she was showing me pictures of her rescue dog and telling me how she volunteers at a homeless shelter on weekends. When she found out I was in tech, she acted like I was freaking Elon Musk or something. That is so impressive. I could never understand all that coding stuff. You must be like really smart. Later that night, her phone died. When I fixed it, literally just force restarted it, she looked at me like I just performed heart surgery. "You are so brilliant. Most guys I date can barely work their own phones." She gave me her number, and I honestly expected to never hear from her again. But she texted me the next morning. "Cannot stop thinking about our conversation last night. Dinner soon." That first month was amazing. She would show up at my place with coffee exactly how I liked it. She remembered casual things I mentioned and followed up on them. "How was that meeting with the difficult client? Did your sister's kid end up getting into that school?" When I mentioned missing my mom, she actually teared up. Family is everything to me too. I never had a stable home growing up, so I really value that. She was physically affectionate in a way I was not used to, always holding my hand in public, kissing my cheek randomly, sending me these long, heartfelt texts about how she had never connected with anyone like this before by our 1-month anniversary. I did not even know that was a thing. She gave me a handmade book of 100 reasons I am falling for you. Reason number 87, you get my coffee order perfect every time. I had literally only bought her coffee twice. She would leave little notes in my laptop bag. "Crush that presentation today, babe. So proud of you." She framed a picture of us from our 3rd date and put it by my bed. I introduced her to my friends after about 2 months, and she charmed the hell out of them. Remembered all their names, asked thoughtful questions, brought my buddy Mike's pregnant wife some fancy pregnancy tea just because. Even Jake, my most skeptical friend, texted me after. "Dude, she is way better than the last one." When I brought her home for Thanksgiving to meet my dad and sister, she spent hours helping in the kitchen, brought my dad a rare whiskey he had mentioned loving once, and stayed up late looking through old family photos, asking for stories about my mom. My sister pulled me aside and said, "She is incredible. Do not freak this up." I proposed after 8.5 months. I know, red flag. But guys, when you are in it, it is like you are freaking hypnotized. She cried, jumped up and down, called her mom screaming. That night, she posted a 7-part Instagram story about how she had manifested her soulmate. We set the wedding date for October 2020. She wanted something small anyway. Another green flag, I thought. So COVID actually worked in our favor. In hindsight, I should have seen the signs. The constant need for validation. The way her stories about her past kept changing slightly. How she never seemed to have close female friends for more than a few months. But love really is freaking blind. What I did not realize yet, I was just her latest mark. The mask started slipping about 6 weeks after the wedding. The prenup situation should have been my wake-up call, but I was still deep in the fog. We had agreed on a prenup. Actually, she suggested it first. I would never want you to think I am after your money, babe. She even recommended a lawyer, her friend from yoga, who gave her a special rate. I was smart enough to get my own lawyer instead, and we drew up a standard agreement protecting my premarital assets and setting reasonable alimony terms. 2 weeks before the wedding, I came home to find her cleaning. She had accidentally thrown out the prenup paperwork while organizing. I called my lawyer in a panic, but redoing everything before the wedding would have been a nightmare, and Sarah had a full meltdown. "You do not trust me on our wedding day. Is that how you want to start our marriage?" I caved. We got married without it. First mistake of many. November was when things really changed. Sarah suddenly decided her yoga studio was toxic. Her boss was jealous of her Instagram following. Her students were entitled. Within 3 weeks of our wedding, she just stopped working. "You make more than enough for both of us," she would say, kissing my cheek. "Plus, I need to focus on my content creation. That is the future." Her content creation consisted of posting workout selfies and philosophical quotes about living your truth. Meanwhile, our joint account was bleeding money. She traded in her perfectly functional 2015 Honda Civic for a brand new Mercedes GLC, a $31,245 per month lease, plus $495 a month insurance because of her 2 previous accidents she had never mentioned. She started getting weekly treatments at some celebrity med spa, $375 to $450 each time for like lymphatic drainage and facial sculpting. Suddenly needed a completely new wardrobe, because, as your wife, I need to look the part when we meet your colleagues. She joined some exclusive gym that was $275 a month, because her free yoga studio membership did not have the right equipment for my new fitness goals. When the first credit card bill came, I nearly had a stroke. $12,367 in a single month. When I very calmly suggested maybe creating a budget, you would think I'd asked her to donate a kidney. Are you seriously bean counting right now? My friends' husbands never question their spending. Any mention of finances would trigger the waterworks. I thought you saw me as a partner, not a burden. Then she would lock herself in the bathroom for an hour, texting furiously with someone. I later found out it was her equally gold-digging friend Lexi getting advice on how to manipulate me. December, she booked a 2-week trip to Tulum with Lexi. $8,400 for accommodations, wellness treatments, and spirituality workshops. When I pointed out this was more than 2 mortgage payments, she flipped. "Lexi is going through a divorce and needs support. Would you deny me the chance to help my best friend?" I later found out Lexi had never even been married. I also found out they spent most of the trip partying with a group of European DJs and posting thirst traps on Instagram. January 2021. Sarah decided she needed a home office to build her brand. This meant a complete renovation of our second bedroom, $23,000, including custom shelving for her growing collection of designer purses and a special lighting setup for her content creation. February, she crashed the Mercedes, called me screaming that it was not her fault. It absolutely was. She was texting while driving. Insurance would not cover all the damages due to her negligence. $4,700 out of pocket. March. She came home with a puppy, a freaking teacup Pomeranian that cost $6,500 from some specialty breeder. When I reminded her that our condo association had a strict no pets policy, she just blinked. "We will move then. This place is too small anyway." By April, I was starting to wake up. Our savings had dwindled from a healthy $62,000 to less than $15,000 in just 6 months of marriage. My credit score had dropped 70 points from all the new accounts and high utilization. I was working overtime to keep up with her spending while she was sleeping until 11 a.m. and spending 3 hours a day at the gym. When I would try to talk to her about money, her tactics were always the same. Immediate tears and accusations that I did not value her contribution, comparing me to her friends' husbands. Mike bought Jen a vacation home during a pandemic. Promises to do better and be more mindful lasted about 48 hours each time. The nuclear option withholding affection and giving me the silent treatment until I apologized for being controlling. Looking back, I should have run for the hills, but I was still holding on to the person I thought I had. Spoiler alert, she never existed. May 2021 was when everything truly went to shit. I worked for a travel tech company, so you can imagine what COVID did to our business. After surviving the first round of layoffs in 2020, I thought we were in the clear. I was wrong. Tuesday morning, May 11th, company-wide Zoom call. Our CEO, looking like he had not slept in weeks, informed us that our main round of funding had fallen through. They were keeping a core team of 8 people. There were 47 of us on the call. I still remember the HR lady's frozen smile as she explained our generous severance package. 8 weeks of pay, 1 month of health insurance, and a $500 Amazon gift card as a thank you for your dedication. 4 years at the company, gone just like that. I drove home in a daze, genuinely scared for the first time in my adult life. We had maybe 3 months of mortgage payments left in savings, and the job market for my position was flooded with laid-off tech workers. I walked into our condo to find Sarah on the couch, scrolling through Cartier's website on her iPad. The distinct sound of her acrylic nails tapping on the screen is seared into my memory. "Hey babe," she said without looking up. "Do you think the gold or the rose gold looks better with my skin tone?" "Sarah, we need to talk. I just lost my job." She finally looked up, clearly annoyed at the interruption. "What do you mean lost? Like, you are switching companies." When I explained what happened, her first question was not, "Are you okay?" or "What can I do?" Instead, "What about my trip to Miami next month?" I already coordinated outfits with Lexi. I told her we needed to cut back on everything non-essential. She needed to find work, even part-time. We needed to cancel subscriptions, return recent purchases still within the return window, maybe even sell the Mercedes and get something more affordable. Her solution, just use some of your Bitcoin. Is not that why you invested in it? Here is the kicker. I had cashed out my crypto 4 months earlier to pay for her essential Bali yoga retreat where she was going to get certified in some holistic influencing program. $22,000 that could have kept us afloat for months, gone on Instagram photos of her ass in various yoga poses. When I told her the crypto money was long gone, she completely lost it, grabbed this $90 dip candle and threw it right at my head, missed by about 1 inch and left a dent in our wall. "You are such a freaking loser," she screamed, mascara running down her face. Jen's husband got laid off from Netflix and he still managed to buy them that cabin in Big Bear. He provides. That night, she said she was going to Target for self-care supplies. She came home at 3:47 a.m. I remember checking the time on my phone, reeking of tequila, and wearing a bracelet I had never seen before. When I asked where she had been, she just snapped out. Some of us need to blow off steam when our lives are falling apart. The next day, she acted like nothing had happened, made a big show of canceling her Sephora order. See, I am cutting back too, while secretly applying for 3 new credit cards in my name. I only found out when the cards arrived in the mail a week later. By the end of May, I had applied to 87 jobs and had exactly 3 interviews, none of which led to offers. Sarah had contributed exactly $0 to our household, and had in fact opened a secret Klarna account to keep buying in installments. June was worse. Sarah decided that since I was home all day, I should take over all the housework so she could focus on her content. This content was mostly TikTok videos complaining about husband red flags, the irony, and Instagram stories of her morning routine using $400 worth of skincare products. One night in late June, I found a receipt in her purse for a $740 dinner at Nobu. The date, a Tuesday, when she told me she was having girls' night at Dee's apartment. The receipt showed a table for 2 with 2 entrees and a $290 bottle of sake. That is when I started paying attention, really paying attention. I am not naturally suspicious. In fact, I am probably too trusting for my own good. But something about that Nobu receipt set off alarm bells I could not ignore. Sarah had started going to SoulCycle religiously in July, always the 6 p.m. class with the amazing instructor Drew. She would come home weirdly energized, immediately shower, never did that after yoga, and spend the evening glued to her phone, smiling at the screen. I started noting patterns. She would leave at 5:30 for a 6 o'clock class, but often would not be home until 9:30 or later. She would put way more effort into her workout outfits than she ever had before. Full makeup, expensive matching sets, even perfume. She stopped leaving her phone unattended ever. Took it into the bathroom. Slept with it under her pillow. Started doing this new thing where she would step outside to take calls, claiming the reception was better in our building with perfect Wi-Fi. I am not proud of what I did next, but I was desperate for the truth. One night, while she was in the shower after another late SoulCycle return, I checked her iPad. She had forgotten to turn off message syncing between devices. The texts with Drew made me physically ill. Drew, still taste you on my lips. When can I see you again? Sarah, God, I needed that today. Tomorrow, usual spot. Drew, cannot wait to feel you wrapped around me again. Sarah, miss you already, babe. He is clueless as usual. There were hundreds of messages going back to May, just days after I lost my job. Pictures I can never unsee, plans they had made, inside jokes about me, the worst exchange. Drew, when are you going to leave that broke loser? LOL. Sarah, soon, just waiting for the right moment. He is useless to me now. Drew, my place is paid off by my dad. You can move in whenever. Sarah, cannot wait to wake up to you instead of his pathetic sad face every day. Drew, does he seriously still think it's SoulCycle RN? Sarah, he is too busy sending out his sad little resumes to notice anything. LMI. Oh. I took screenshots of everything and emailed them to myself. Then I started digging deeper. I checked our credit card statements and found charges from hotels on days she was supposedly at marketing workshops. Four Seasons, Chateau Marmont, places I could never afford to take her. The final straw. I checked our phone plan records. On days she claimed to be having girls' nights, she was making multiple calls to the same number. Drew's number. Sometimes these calls happened at 2 to 3 a.m. I needed to see for myself. So one evening when she left for SoulCycle, I waited 15 minutes, then drove to the studio, parked across the street and waited. Sure enough, about 15 minutes after class ended, Sarah walked out and headed straight for a Porsche Cayenne parked in the lot. The driver, a guy with a man bun and tribal tattoos, got out, grabbed her ass, and kissed her right there in public. I recorded the whole thing on my phone, fighting the urge to throw up or confront them. I needed evidence, not a scene. Over the next 2 weeks, I documented everything. Photos of her getting into his car, screenshots of texts, hotel receipts, credit card statements. I even found an actual card from him in her gym bag. To my future, Mrs. A. Cannot wait to make it official. All while playing completely dumb at home. I acted depressed about my job search. Not hard to fake. Did not question her late nights, and pretended not to notice when she would come home with hickeys poorly concealed by makeup. What made it worse? This Drew guy was not even that impressive from what I gathered through some light social media stalking. He was a 34-year-old fitness entrepreneur whose main business appeared to be living off his parents' money. His Instagram was full of shirtless mirror selfies, cryptocurrency investment tips, and photos of his dad's vacation homes that he pretended were his. He had a tribal tattoo in 2021 for freak's sake. But he had money. Or rather, his parents had money. And for Sarah, that was enough. The final nail. I found a search history on our shared laptop for how to divorce in California without losing money and can my husband make me pay his debt. That is when I knew I needed a plan. I spent the next week barely sleeping, fueled by a combination of cold brew, righteous fury, and Reddit legal advice threads. I needed to be smarter than both of them. Phase 1. Secure the evidence. First things first. I backed up everything. Screenshots, photos, videos, receipts, all uploaded to a secure cloud storage that Sarah did not know about. Made copies on a USB drive I kept at my dad's house for safekeeping. If this went to court, I needed to be prepared. Phase 2. Financial damage control. I opened a new individual bank account and had my severance redirected there instead of our joint account. Froze all joint credit cards due to suspected fraud. Not even a lie. I made a detailed spreadsheet of every unnecessary purchase Sarah had made since our wedding. Total came to $137,842.19 in just 11 months of marriage, nearly my entire salary. Phase 3, play dumb, but really dumb. This is where I channeled my inner sad sack. Started wearing the same sweatpants for days, let my beard grow patchy, talked endlessly about failed job prospects, apologized constantly for being distracted and not the man she deserved, even managed to cry a few times about letting her down. Sarah ate it up. She was getting bolder with her affair, sometimes not coming home until morning with absurd excuses. Lexi had a panic attack. I had to stay over. My phone died and I got locked out of my Uber account. There was a water main break near SoulCycle and they made us evacuate to a hotel. Phase 4. The Golden Ticket. This is where my plan went from defense to offense. I created a fake winning lottery ticket showing a $5.2 million jackpot. Made it look worn like I had been carrying it around. Accidentally left it in her gym bag where she would definitely find it. The timing had to be perfect right after a big fight where I was extra pathetic. I moped around all weekend, sighing dramatically about another rejected job application, then picked a fight about her spending $400 on a bioresonance facial. She stormed out Monday morning, gym bag in hand. By 11:30 a.m. my phone was blowing up with texts. Sarah, oh my God, Sarah. Babe, Sarah, call me right now. Sarah, this is insane. I waited an hour before responding, then played dumb. When she sent a photo of the ticket, I acted shocked. Called her right away, voice shaking. Not hard to fake. I was deep in this performance. She came running into the apartment screaming, $5 million. Why did not you tell me? I acted panicked. I just found out this morning, but we cannot cash it yet. What? Why not? Her eyes were practically dollar signs, cartoon style. I called a lawyer to figure out how to claim it. He said, if we cash it now and then get divorced, you would automatically get half. We need to fix our marriage first or wait until after the divorce is final. The way her face changed from fake concern to calculating was something I will never forget, like watching a lizard person reveal themselves. Divorce? Who said anything about divorce, babe? I have just been stressed about money. This changes everything. Phase 5. The legal trap. I told Sarah we needed to protect our new wealth with a postnuptial agreement. Said my lottery lawyer had recommended it. I contacted an actual shark of a divorce attorney named Ruth, an older Jewish lady who had seen every trick in the book. When I explained my situation and showed her my evidence, she actually smiled. You have done my job for me, kiddo. Now let us nail this coffin shut. She helped draft a postnuptial agreement that looked standard on the surface. The magic was buried on page 17, paragraph 3. In the event of divorce due to infidelity, proven with evidence, the unfaithful party forfeits all marital assets and pays the injured party $2,000 monthly for 5 years as compensation for emotional distress and reputational damage. Sarah did not even glance at it. She was so excited about getting things sorted before claiming the lottery money that she just scribbled her name with the sparkly purple pen she always carried. When Ruth asked, Mrs. Carter, have you read and understood this document? Sarah just nodded enthusiastically, saying, yes, of course. Phase 6. The trust fund takedown. From stalking Drew's Instagram, I figured out his mom controlled his trust fund. His profile was full of chapter-blessed posts thanking Mother for his lifestyle blessings along with Bible quotes mixed in with his gym selfies. Did some Google diving and found an article about how his mom, Margaret Ainsworth of Ainsworth Textiles, had cut off his previous girlfriend for posting inappropriate content on social media. Apparently, Mommy Dearest was a hardcore Southern Baptist who did not approve of her son's lifestyle, but kept him afloat financially as long as he maintained certain appearances. I created a fake email account pretending to be a concerned Christian friend from Drew's church and sent Mommy Dearest screenshots of Sarah's thirstiest Instagram posts, along with texts where she specifically mentioned Drew's family money and how she could not wait to upgrade her lifestyle once they were together. The coup de grace. A screenshot of Sarah's text saying his mom is such a religious nutjob, but who cares as long as she keeps paying for everything, LOL. 2 days later, Sarah was in our kitchen having an absolute meltdown on the phone. What do you mean you need space? What about Miami next week? You already booked the suite. Watching her scream cry about Drew suddenly canceling their plans was Oscar-worthy entertainment, especially the moment she realized his cards had all been declined. After the postnuptial agreement was signed and Drew went ghost, I let things simmer for about 2 weeks. Sarah tried desperately to revive our marriage, cooking dinner for the first time ever, initiating sex, even applying for a couple of actual jobs. It was pathetic and hilarious. Meanwhile, I was getting my ducks in a row, meeting with Ruth to file divorce papers, documenting every new expense, and secretly interviewing for jobs out of state. The confrontation happened on a random Tuesday. I had received a job offer that morning, 20% less than my previous salary, but in Austin, where the cost of living was way lower. I did not need Sarah's money anymore, but, by God, I was going to get it. She was sitting at our kitchen island, planning a surprise vacation to save our marriage with my non-existent lottery money, when I slid a manila folder in front of her. What is this? She asked, annoyed at the interruption. Evidence. Her face when she opened that folder and saw the hotel receipts, screenshots, and photos. I wish I had recorded it. She went from confused to terrified to furious in about 3 seconds. You went through my phone? That is abusive. I laughed, actually laughed in her face. Abuse? You want to talk about abuse? How about emotional and financial abuse? How about freaking some SoulCycle instructor in my bed while I am out interviewing for jobs to support your lifestyle? She switched tactics instantly, tears flowing. It was a mistake. I was feeling neglected. Drew means nothing to me. Save it for someone who gives a shit, Sarah. I have already filed for divorce. Then came the threats. I will take everything. My dad knows judges. I will tell everyone you were abusive. You will be paying me alimony for decades. That is when I showed her the signed postnuptial agreement. Actually, according to paragraph 17, section 3, you will be paying me for 5 years. Her face went completely white. That is not possible. That is not what I signed. You should have read it, but you were too busy thinking about my fake lottery win. Fake. There was never any lottery money, Sarah, just like there was never any faithful, loving wife. She lunged at me then, trying to grab my phone, my laptop, anything that might have evidence on it. Too late. It was all backed up in multiple locations, and Ruth already had copies of everything. The divorce hearing was better than any movie. Sarah showed up in all black like she was at a funeral, huge sunglasses hiding her puffy eyes, dabbing dramatically at fake tears. Your Honor, he has been emotionally abusive. I made one mistake and he is trying to destroy me. He tricked me into signing that agreement. Then Ruth played the videos I had taken of Sarah and Drew making out in his car, plus the screenshots of their texts planning their future together, including spending my lottery money. The judge was this older woman who did not look impressed. Mrs. Carter, this evidence is quite compelling and disturbing. When Ruth brought up the postnuptial agreement, Sarah started crying. That is not fair. I did not know what I was signing. The judge just raised an eyebrow. Did you or did you not sign this document of your own free will in front of a notary after verbally confirming you had read and understood it? Sarah's lawyer, some slick guy in an expensive suit, who clearly had not expected this level of evidence, tried arguing the postnuptial agreement was signed under fraudulent conditions due to the fake lottery ticket. Ruth countered, Your Honor, the lottery ticket has no bearing on the infidelity clause. Mrs. Carter was cheating, long before any mention of lottery winnings. The postnuptial agreement simply outlined consequences for behavior she was already engaging in. The judge agreed. In the end, I got the Mercedes, sold it immediately to pay Ruth's fees. Every designer bag and piece of jewelry she had bought during our marriage, most of which I sold. Our condo, which I also sold before moving to Austin. $2,000 a month from her for the next 5 years. As we were leaving the courthouse, Sarah hissed at me through clenched teeth. You are going to regret this for the rest of your pathetic life. I just smiled. Not as much as you will. The first payment from Sarah came exactly 30 days after the judgment as ordered by the court. I half expected her to fight it, but Ruth had made it clear. Miss a payment, and we would put a lien against any future earnings or property she might acquire. The system that so often favors women in divorce had finally worked in a man's favor, thanks to irrefutable evidence and a bulletproof postnuptial agreement. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I relocated to Austin for my new job, sold the condo, sold most of our joint possessions, keeping detailed records of every sale as Ruth advised, and started fresh. The job was not as prestigious as my previous one, but the team was solid, and the work-life balance was infinitely better. The monthly deposits from Sarah, which she titled, Freak You in the payment notes, until the court made her stop, went straight into an investment account. I was not touching a penny of it. Partly out of principle, partly because I knew it drove her insane that I did not need her money. About 3 months in, the hoovering attempt started. First came the drunk texts at 2 a.m., I miss you, I made a mistake. No one understands me like you did. When those went unanswered, she escalated to a handwritten letter. I have been doing a lot of soul searching and realized what I threw away. The connection we had was real. Even if I lost my way, Drew was a mistake. He turned out to be nothing like I thought. I have changed, I promise. Can we meet and talk? I sent her exactly one response. A glitter bomb delivered to her new apartment, a shitty studio in North Hollywood, according to my friend who still lived in her building. Inside was a note that said, Here is the only bag you deserve. Enjoy vacuuming for the next year. Through the grapevine and some occasional Instagram stalking, I learned that Sarah's life had spiraled pretty dramatically. Drew had completely ghosted her after his mom cut him off. She tried to return to teaching yoga, but her reputation was shot. Turns out she had slept with at least 2 clients' husbands. Her influencer career tanked when she could no longer afford the lifestyle her followers expected. She had to sell most of her designer stuff to make the monthly payments to me. 6 months after the divorce, I got a job offer from a promising startup that actually matched my previous salary. Life was looking up. The real karma hit about 1 year later. I was at a tech conference in Chicago when I got a series of increasingly desperate texts from Sarah. "I need to talk to you. It is an emergency. Please call me. It is important." I would not ask if it was not serious. I ignored them all. Then came an email with the subject line, "Medical emergency. Please read." Curious, I opened it. Sarah explained that she had been diagnosed with a condition that required expensive treatment. Her insurance would not cover it all, and she was drowning in medical debt. She was asking if I would consider waiving the remaining alimony payments so she could afford her care. I almost felt bad for her. Then, I remembered the text where she had called me a pathetic loser and joked about spending my money after I was gone. I had Ruth look into it. Turns out Sarah was not lying about the medical issue. She needed surgery for some reproductive thing, but she was exaggerating the costs dramatically. Classic Sarah, turning a $4,000 procedure into a $40,000 tragedy. I did not respond directly. Instead, I had Ruth send a formal letter stating that the court-ordered payments would continue as scheduled and included printouts of Sarah's recent social media posts showing her at Coachella and on a weekend trip to Vegas. If she could afford festival tickets and bottle service, she could afford her medical bills. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Drew. Yes, that Drew. This was unexpected. "Hey man, it is Drew Ainsworth. Sarah's, I know exactly who you are," I replied coolly. "What do you want?" He sounded desperate. "Look, I know I am the last person you want to hear from, but I am in a really bad situation. My mom cut me off completely after those emails." "What emails?" I asked innocently. "Someone sent my mom screenshots of texts between me and Sarah. She went ballistic, froze all my accounts, even took back the condo. I am literally sleeping on my buddy's couch. I could not help myself." "Sounds rough. What does this have to do with me?" Sarah said you might be willing to work something out. She said you were getting money from her that she could be using to help me get back on my feet. The audacity. I laughed so hard I had to put the phone down. "Let me get this straight." I finally said, "You fucked my wife while I was dealing with losing my job. Planned to use my money to fund your lifestyle, and now you want me to give up the settlement so you can benefit. Are you actually insane?" "Look, man, we all make mistakes. Tell Sarah to enjoy making those payments for the next 4 years. And Drew, never contact me again."